Is it me, or has this spring in the UK been all over the place? The wind, the rain, the snow, it's been a mess. And despite this, the spring flowers have come early, and in many places, the trees still think it's winter. In this video, I'm going to try and get over my fear of bluebell season, the most pressured time of year in my eyes, and show you how scouting can save the day.
Good morning, it is that time of year again, bluebell season. If you saw me last year, you'll know exactly how I feel about shooting these little beauties. Trepidation, fear, every time it goes wrong. Now you will note that today I am not carrying much. I'm having to rely a little bit on my beloved to take the strain, and that's because I've had surgery and I'm not allowed to carry stuff. I'm treating this morning as a bit of a scouting mission because I wanted to look at the strengths of the bluebells. As I've been going round West Sussex the past couple of days, they've looked really strong in pockets, but I'm thinking because I'm going to some wooded area, we may be a little bit kind of behind. Because today I have somebody helping me out with my kit, I have got 3 lenses because I can never decide. So this weekend we're due to get a little bit better weather. In that we're hopefully going to get some sunrise, so maybe I can utilise that. I'm not really sure we're going to get the long form mist though. Oh well. Now wherever I go I'm going to be very careful not to step on bluebells because we've got enough paths hopefully that we can make our way through. They take a number of years to recover and I just don't think that's on. The first lens that I have bought today is my trusted 70-200. That's because it's really good at perspective compression. I'm anticipating that I'm going to use this lens most. So next up I have bought a macro lens. This is my Canon macro lens 100mm, and what that will do is that will throw the background beautifully out if I choose to use it, perhaps isolating a clump or an individual bluebell, and in the background I'll get that beautiful bokeh. The final lens that I bought is my 16-35. Now, last year I got caught out because I was using a 24-105 and I'd left this one at home, and there were certain times when I was doing perhaps a vertical shot where I really wanted to get those trees climbing into the sky and I just didn't have the capacity to go wide enough. Well, today was supposed to be a very balanced day, which is why I decided to come and scout, and we have the sun, which is lovely, except I've left it too late because it's supposed to be balanced in order to get those lovely kind of sun-starry shots or those shadow shots.
By the time I arrived, because I didn't know the area and I hadn't scouted, everything was far too contrasty to do anything decent. There's no doubt that the thickness of these bluebells was very enticing. However, the scrubbiness of the pollarded areas, in contrast with the really regimented areas, I just found it really tricky to shoot. I chose vignettes. Too punchy, too busy. I went wide, a bit bland in the middle and just too busy everywhere else. So I relied on an old friend, ICM, intentional camera movement. We also decided it was a great time to have a crack at flying the drone in wooded conditions. All went well until, well, this. Luckily, it only lost its dignity.
Right, a few shots taken, probably not any keepers. I'm going to go and try a second location now, one that I shoot while garlicking normally. I just want to see whether the garlic is nearing its stage of being ready to shoot. But there's a patch of bluebells there that are really quite interesting to have a look at. This is a funny old spring. Bluebells have come early, wild garlics come early. Normally there's a few weeks in between, but there doesn't appear to be this year. Just depends really on which way a bank is facing as to how far developed and how far gone it is. With the garlic being normally a bit later, you've got a lot more foliage in the trees. Now I know we've got a week or so for this garlic, but actually, will the trees catch up? So even this patch here, which is slightly thicker than the other areas, I reckon that's another week to 10 days before it's in its prime. Yeah, this patch, they're really strong.
And this is why scouting is so important. You don't miss prime stuff.
Although there are bluebells here, which I do remember seeing last year, they're not really concentrated or thick enough to do photography as I'd like. So worth scouting, probably come back next week at some stage for that wild garlic. Morning. It's 4:30, true silly o'clock, and I'm standing still because I'm modelling, because old Ben over there is doing a video which he's entirely shooting at 100mm. Could be a long morning. So this morning I'm back to a more familiar territory with Photo Buddy Ben, and yesterday was a bit of a disaster, shall we say, because I either had something that was like shooting in a cave or I had really contrasty light. So today I'm hoping for something a little kinder. Now I suppose these woods could be described as my local woods. They're the woods that I'm most familiar with and most comfortable with. However, I've still managed to not get a shot here.
It's become quite a popular wood in the past few years, and with that in mind, whilst it was very quiet, I decided to do a little bit of filming and some good scouting so that when the light finally hit, I wouldn't be like a rabbit in headlights.
The wood I was at yesterday was very regimented. You had lines of trees that were very obvious and great swathes of emptiness. Whereas here you have a little bit more higgledy-piggledy, but what you have is the ability to zoom in, to get rid of the sky as you need to, but also to pick out kind of low-hanging fruit if appropriate.
This is what I mean by low-hanging fruit. They interplay with the bluebells really well.
What the other place did have though was spindly saplings which had those lovely lime colours on. The problem was when you tried to shoot them, they just blended with the background and they were either in your face when the sun came out or just merged totally when there wasn't any. It just wasn't ideal. So hopefully we're going to get something a little better today, because let's face it, I couldn't really get much worse than yesterday's shots.
So while I waited for the sun to do its thing, I shot another muted ICM. I prefer this to yesterday's shot, not so in your face. Ben and I both noticed an obvious shot.
Mind your personal space here.
It did have the most potential. Twit. Crikey, this has become popular. The thing was, when the light hit, everyone started oohing and ahhing, and I bet you any money you like, my shot is still going to be the worst. And the transformation from this to this was really quite fast, and it all got a bit frantic.
We are taking our time to go and have a look at different areas because we may come back tomorrow morning, which will be my third in a row, and I might need to get some sleep at some stage. You see, that's the problem. Everything gets smashed into a few weekends at this time of year for photographers.
Well, we explored and we found another location for the next morning. So he was off back home for some well-earned kip. Day 3. Knackered. Surely I get something okay today. Surely.
Today I have my husband with us because he's having to carry the kit, because yesterday I threw something and yeah, I've hurt myself. Probably shouldn't be out, but bluebells don't last forever, do they?
So ever so carefully, we took our spot we found the day before. We waited, and eventually the sun did its thing. Without doing the legwork and scouting, we'd have never been introduced to this lovely spot. I mean, look at it. It's just gorgeous. Shots aren't great, but who cares? Who cares?
Well, thank you for joining me today. I look forward to seeing you next time wherever I am. Take care. I'll see you soon.